How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the TNA Body Slam Post Show. I'm joined by the great, the wonderful, my good buddy Io. How you doing, man?
Oh, doing good, man. Enjoying this peaceful and grateful Saturday. Also had a good night yesterday. Chilling. Same old work in Jersey and stuff. But had a got a good had a good show. I thought Turning Point was pretty good, solid PLE. What you think, man?
I did. I thought so too. Just like we kind of call it, and I don't mean to be a jab like a B show, but I just call it that just because in the sense that it's not the one that you have to pay a little extra on top of your subscription, like unless you get the plus version, or I mean the
Yeah,
premium version. But
yeah,
I thought this was a really fun show, especially with all the, I guess, kind of sadness still surrounding the previous events from the night before. But I thought booking wise, I thought it gave a lot to be happy about in terms of things to kind of make us feel better. But yeah, it was a solid show.
yeah. Yeah, top to bottom. Like I know, like folks had their kind of complaints because like it wasn't really a build up show. Like they didn't really announce the matches prior to, but I always kind of told them like, hey, like when it's all said and done, like whatever matches they load up last minute, like it's still gonna deliver. And here we are. We're talking about how we went from like, what's going on in Turning Point, like, I'm not looking forward to Turning Point, till like, wow, Turning Point was a great show and everyone stood out. So, hey, I know like TNA has a tendency of doing things late, but hey, we can only judge for. Sometimes I like to judge on the results, and sometimes the results matter more. So there we go.
You know what? The only thing I'm really gonna go out of my way and like try to like give them a little bit of the doubt and think that the reason for some of these bookings maybe has to do with, again, the not, maybe they're just trying to save some big moments, or like they're trying to create a big moment for when they get that big elusive
Yeah.
TV deal that we've heard about. You know what I mean?
Oh
Just because,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
you continue.
continue.
Continue. You
No,
first. You
I want
first.
to hear what you have to say about
I
it.
was gonna say, yeah, you guys load up the chat. We'll be happy to read your comments. Actually, I'm gonna read this comment. Miguel, it says, "Bird loves Indy. We're gonna bring up her match with Danny Luna. I suggest you I suggest you take a watch today."
Yeah, I just think because that's really the only reason I'm going to chalk up to why they would take the belt off Santana. You know what I mean? Like why they're doing what they're doing. Just because, like, I think that with since that hasn't been announced, maybe they're just looking for, because they're going to need a moment to, I guess, pop a rating on that first show.
Yeah,
If it does happen. So
yeah,
yeah, like we said, it was a pretty interesting show last night. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to getting.
yeah, yeah. Let's just get into it. The Turning Point review.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Let me pull up the matches real quick. Let me just say, I went into this show not how I would go into a normal pay per view, in the sense that for wrestling, I went to this show because of what happened with Santana. I was like, I wanted stuff that booking wise that was going to make sense, that was going to make me happy, that wasn't going to piss me the fuck off. Um, and I believe I'm trying to find the matches for, but I believe we opened up with the Jake Something Mance Warner HTM match, and all I really cared about was Jake Something winning. Like I was like, they better not have a. I get HTM, a hometown man, is a good crowd favorite. I get the people love him. I get that he pops the crowd, but like they have really done nothing with Jake Something. So I wanted him to win this smash. But what did you think about this opening match? I thought it was fun, a fun triple threat.
Yeah. This seemed kind of like a random put. I'm with you too. Like, as much as I love Jake Sims, I feel like this this match could have gone to anyone. I know that's kind of crazy saying because of the three guys, but yeah, I'm glad Jake got the win. Anytime you put Jake something, Mance Warner, together, like they're gonna, tear down the place. They have that good chemistry, and of course, hometown man's gonna keep the crowd happy. So you kind of have that nice blend in, like. hometown man getting the crowd happy, and then just Jake and Mance, doing all the work and stuff. But that's how it was, and yeah, Jake got the win. Hope that kind of builds some sort of momentum or whatever. But yeah, at least I mean the hometown man's already not undefeated anymore, so I guess we're just I guess basically everyone's kind of back to square one, so to speak. But this we'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring on it looks like we have a little bit of a guest. I'm going to bring on our good buddy Gerard here. You guys know him from Body Slam as well. Hold on one second.
Oh, nice.
Gerard, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you, man. How you doing, bro?
Good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing good. Doing good. We just started. We had a little delay with the streaming, but we're just about to kick things off. How you feeling, man?
We're happy to have you.
All good, man. Perfect. I'm on my way to work, and I saw you guys were going live, so I figured I'd jump on for a little bit.
Gerard, so how'd you feel about last night's event? And we were just talking about how TNA has a tendency of booking the matches late, but they end up kind of delivering in the end. How what's your take on their way they're booking the matches late?
I mean, normally it doesn't bother me too much, but this one was just crazy. They put themselves in a situation where they didn't have a choice because they took 4 weeks off. Mm-hmm. And even with the 4 weeks off, they didn't book a match until 3 days before the show. We got that that Knockouts tag team title match. I don't know, was it Tuesday or Wednesday or something for Final Resolution? It's well, at least you could have just made a match a day starting Monday or something, and you'd have had a bunch of matches already announced that people could have been getting invested in.
Right.
Totally agree with you.
All right, and also too, we'll just kind of get right to the point. Your thoughts on the end of Thursday. I mean, a lot went down, of course, and then obviously what went down. Mike Santana was defending against Ryan Nemeth, and then the NXT crew came along, and then of course Frankie Kazarian with the Call Your Shots. You obviously are always on top of with TNA news and what's going on, and you always kind of bring your own perspective and different perspective, which I kind of like about you and stuff. So basically, what's going through Gerard's mind when that happened? Because you've been vocal about it. Dobby the Brain has been vocal about it. So
yeah, I went live. I think yesterday at some point, or maybe it was Thursday. I don't know. I went live sometime over the last day or two, and I was talking about it. But I'll talk about it again here. So I thought after 4 weeks off, and then his first title defense, and it was against Ryan Nemeth, it was just a terrible way to do it. I have no issue with Frankie being a champion. It was just the timing of it and the way it was done, a roll-up pin, really. I thought, this is, in my opinion, this is a creatively bankrupt company. The booking and the creative, and I put out a tweet that got it's up to 45,000 views now or something. But I was listen, this has nothing to do with the talent. People aren't mad at the talent. People are mad at the lazy and lack of good new ideas and booking. It's got the talent do their job. They do a great job with what they're given, but it's just what are we doing here? This could have been done if you're gonna take the title from Santana. That TNA loves making the babyface chase do the chase. It's ridiculous. They waited too long with Joe Hendry when they finally put the title on him. Nobody really cared. When they finally put the title on Santana, they should have done it at Slammiversary. Let him get that pop. Let him get that 3 months to build it to Bound for Glory. Instead, Carlos is oh no, we do better business when the NXT guy has the title, which is true. I'm not gonna deny that part of it, but it's not always about the business end of it. Sometimes it's about building up your stars and giving your fans the equity that they've been investing in. So for me, it was a swing and a miss, huge whiff. They rebounded a little bit with Turning Point, in my opinion. I thought the whole card was actually pretty good. Some matches that normally wouldn't have been good were good because they had a gimmick attached to them. But I thought that, and I remember going live about this yesterday, I thought the whole thing with Santana, and if you guys don't really know the whole story with that, I'll get into it in a minute, but like, they basically somebody from TNA sent out the same message to a whole bunch of different wrestling media, and Sean Ross Sapp like busted them out. He's like, you guys can't sit here and honestly pass this off as being real when I know for a fact you guys are working people, but like PW Insider put it out exactly the way that it was sent to them. They copy and pasted it. Same thing with Dr. Featherstone. He did the same thing. And then Sean's like, no, I know better than this. I got to confirm that this is a work. Like, and he kind of did an editorial today on Fightful Select where he explained it. He said, usually when people send me something like this, they'll follow it up with like, hey, this is an angle. It's going to the payoff is coming soon. And then he's like, okay, now I don't mind running this. But when you're clearly running it as an angle, but you're trying to pass it off to him as like, I want my fans to actually believe that this is a real thing and it's an angle. He's like, I'm not going to lie to people like that. Other people might not have a problem with that, but I don't. That was number one. Number two for me was the wording of it was like, oh, we can't find this guy. He's not answering texts. He's not answering phone calls. I thought that was a terrible like wording given Santana's background and being a recovering addict. That's just, the whole thing could have been done better. And then they continued it on the show. Like, PW Insider came out a little bit later after that initial report came out and was like, oh, Mike Santana's backstage now, which I think was, it was somebody on the TNA side trying to, like, clean up their report that they shouldn't have put out to begin with about trying to not being able to get a hold of him and all that. But then on the show, the announcers are doing the same thing all night long. They're like, oh, Santana's not here. Nobody's heard from him. We don't know what's going on. I'm like, this is like really poor taste to me, and I felt like they should have done better. Even if he was in on it, which I mean, obviously he was in on it, but the way the whole thing was done, I felt like it could have been done better. And it just goes to show at the lacking of creativity that this company is coming up with.
Yeah, and that well said and everything, Gerard. That's what I kind of want to go back to, that you have this great storyline with Santana. You have this great ending, you know what I mean? It's like a movie that has a great ending, and then they go out of their way to have like an extra 20 minutes to that movie and then proceed to ruin that great ending. I don't know where they go from here, one, and I don't know where they go from here that would make fans happy. Like, I'm not saying I don't want to see Santana get the title, but it's like putting the title right back on him almost kind of seems just as like lack of creative as the lack of creative that you're talking about. So I really, where do you think they go from here?
I think, now that Frankie's got the title, I think you let him hold on to it for a little bit. I think you're going to see, honestly, I thought you were going to see Nick Nemeth actually cash it in last night and win the title from Frankie, just like Frankie did to Santana. But clearly those NXT guys, which, by the way, my prediction, and I think I tweeted this on my own thing, but I'm going to say it again here. I fully believe Eric Young is the guy that's behind the NXT invasion.
Okay.
I think they're the guys that are helping him cleanse TNA. I could be wrong. That's just an opinion, but I think you're gonna get Santana, Frankie, and Nick Nemeth at Genesis in a 3-way match for the title, and maybe you flip it back to Santana there. I don't know.
And I also think that's where they're going as well. And I'm going to go back to this, what you said like really earlier. It sucks because I almost feel like somebody in the back did a disservice to Kazarian, because I think they all know the fans like Kazarian. But it's like a lose-lose situation here, because I want Kazarian to be champion, but it shouldn't have happened now. He should have beaten Joe Henry, who was on his way out. You mean that's when his run could have happened. But now it sucks. Sorry. What were you saying?
So all I was gonna say is, like, I wouldn't have minded, because like there's some discrepancies with like Mike Santana's contract and like when it ends and if he's staying with TNA or if he's PW Insider said the other day he's got an offer from TNA on the table. He's had interest from WWE, so I don't know what he's actually going to do. But my thing is, you could have given him a couple of decent title defenses on the live show yesterday, or on the live show Thursday, on Turning Point last night. Could have had him defended again at the TV tapings tonight, which are ongoing right now. And then you could have had him, if you're going to drop it, you could have at least given him a couple defenses, a longer reign than taking it off of him at right after the 4-week hiatus that the company took. You could have, even if you could have had him drop it in El Paso. Let's say hypothetically he's leaving. You could have had him drop it at El Paso. Or if he's going to WWE, I'm sure they would have let him work, and his contract is up at the end of the year with TNA. I'm sure they would have let him work Genesis, which is probably in the middle of January, and he could have dropped it there. But he could have had a decent reign as champion and had some really good defenses before you took this title off him. I feel like that would have been the spot where, like, especially if he's leaving, I hope he's not. I hope this guy, like, TNA were the ones that took the chance on him. They gave him the opportunity. I'm confident this TV deal's coming. I think they're going to give him a pretty good offer with that money. But let's say he's leaving. Let's go with that for 1 second. I think that's where you could have let Frankie really take it, and then you could have had either Santana start a chase there if he stays, or you just let Frankie hold it through most of the year. That's the one thing I will say is, like, a difference from the Scott D'Amore title reigns is that, and my buddy BQ pointed this out all the time on his reviews and his mailbag and all that stuff. They're not hot-shotting these titles anymore, really. Like, Trick Williams had a good reign. How are you going to let Trick Williams have a better reign than Mike Santana as world champion? That's just ridiculous. But, like, they're not hot-shotting these titles. They're actually, like, somewhat building stories to, like, and they're giving people longer title reigns. They're not just taking them off of you the next day, with the exception of this right here. But for the most part, they're not doing that anymore.
And that's just kind of what on the title and the contract situation, that's which kind of leads me to believe that, because it seems like we were kind of questioning why they put the titles on the Inspiration, who I don't know if they've re-signed. Their deal was up at the time. With them, and we're going to get into it, them holding their titles and then Santana dropping his makes me kind of think, is Santana on his way out? And then that just makes me question then, you know what I mean? Like, why would they put the title on him? And then that's what I don't like when they hot potato the title. So that would kind of, make me a little upset, because they have been on a streak of having had solid range, with really good defenses. So
sure,
yeah,
which for me is a whole nother reason why you should have. Not only was he in pretty much his hometown, but if you're not sure if this guy's staying past the end of the year, just give him the title at Slammiversary. Let him get a 6-month title run, and then he can drop it before he leaves. Instead of giving it to him at Bound for Glory, and then you're taking 4 weeks off.
Yeah, it seems like this kind of been the thing. Like, they don't know how to come up with like 6-month planner, so to speak, because here we are, like, I mean, again, like, this was a topic last year. Like, December rolls around, contracts are coming up, and you don't know who's going to be around by come January. Like last year was the Alexander Speedball Jordan talk.
Sure. It's yesterday it came out that Dezmond Xavier made his return at Turning Point. I know we were going to get to that in a little bit, but he made his return to the Rascals. Fightful Select said that they have some creative plans for him, but he's not actually signed to the company. Zach Wentz, his deal comes up on January 1st. He's not actually signed to the company. Here's an interesting tidbit about both Dezmond and Zach. They are both not at the TV tapings tonight. I'm sure they'll be in El Paso. They're not at the TV tapings tonight, and they're both represented by an actual talent agency. So I don't know, like, Fightful was like, oh, the whole group has interest, like, outside of the company or whatever, which doesn't surprise me. I don't think it's on the WWE or NXT side. but I could see AEW being interested in these guys like as a group. I don't know why you wouldn't be. But if I'm TNA, again, like Santana, I think Santana and the Rascals are the guys that you build around in 2026. You pay Santana a lot more money than you're paying him now to stick around, even if it's on a 1-year deal. Hopefully it's not, but even if it's on a 1-year deal, you give him a chance to really show that he can be the one to not just win the title, but carry the company. And then the Rascals, dude, like international, X Division, tag team, all 4 of these guys, they should just pay them, strap a rocket on them, and these are your guys in 2026. Your tag team, you can have them going at Leon Slater. Leon Slater is a guy that they have clearly invested in as well. But he can be like, you can flip the title back and forth between one of the Rascals and Leon Slater a couple of times and still get some really good stories out of it. You can have one of them beat Macklin for the international title. A lot of people don't talk about Trey Miguel's X Division title run when he was a fucking heel a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
that work that Trey Miguel did as a heel was phenomenal. You can have 2 of them go after, and pick any 2 you want. Have 2 of them go after the tag team titles.
You know.
Yeah. Sorry, real quick. Yeah, I said this to Bert and many times. Like the Rascals should be what TNA to like what the Elite is to AEW. Like, cause you guys, like you mentioned, like you can put them in tag matches, singles matches, world title matches, have them open main events. Like, cause like these 4, they're that good. They can light up the crowd, like make sure all the TNA fans have a good time. And like now they hear like possibly like some of them, you know, are considering options outside TNA. You're just thinking like, and in the midst of this new TV deal, you're just thinking like, who's TNA actually trying to invest? Because like, and I think you agree too, Gerard. Like I think if like, I mean, I'm sure it's pretty much in the motion now. This deal, like TNA needs to start like putting like a core bundle of people who they're gonna get behind. And of course, some veterans, aka the Hardys, that they're invested because the Hardys are the draws, obviously, and stuff. And also put together like a few talents who are the face, like who you can actually put put in towards media and all that or whatnot stuff. Because
Sure.
I mean because it seems like seems like the narrative is like, okay, his contract is running out. That must mean he's gone. His contract's running out. That must mean he's gone. He's showing up on NXT. That means NXT must have interest in him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think if you look at, I know when you guys touched on the inspiration before. I think if you look at it, like with the reports that came out right around Bound for Glory, and where we're at now, Cedric Alexander won on the live episode, and then they lost yesterday, obviously, to Order 4, but I think his contract was up around Bound for Glory. The Inspiration was up around Bound for Glory. They're both still here. The Inspiration still have their titles. I think that's a really good sign for both of them. I'm not saying or confirming that they're signed, but I think that's a really good sign to me. An educated guess would be that they were both, even if it's short term, they both have like signed new deals or come to agreements on new deals.
Yeah.
One of the things that people need to be open to and realize, and this happens every year, so like I don't stress about it really anymore. There's going to be some roster turnover. That's just the way that it is, and it's like, and TNA. I will say this: even with a TV deal, TNA is going to have some growing pains in terms of structuring payments, like how you're paying the talent now. The structure is going to have to change because they're going to be paying them like 4 times a month instead of sometimes they're only working 2 days a month or whatever, and you got them working every week. Whereas it's like they'll go work for 2 days and then they're off for a month sometimes. So like they're going to have to figure that out. You're going to have to pay some of them more money. You're going to have to figure out the new payment structure. You're still going to have these short-term contracts like the 6. I know everybody hates the 6-month deals. The reality of it is some of these talent that we got in TNA wouldn't have come to TNA without the 6-month deals. The Inspiration, from what Sean Ross Sapp has reported on Fightful Select, they like the short-term deals. It doesn't lock them in long. It still lets them be on TV. the company can still get behind them. But if you look at it, and we're talking about not hot-shotting titles, they didn't put the titles on them right away. They waited like 4 or 6 months or whatever it was to actually put the tag team titles on them, and they let the Elegance brand like really kind of build themselves up with the Knockouts tag titles after they took them off of Jody and Danny. So as far as that goes, that's one of the good things about it too. But like back in the day, we got Jonah on a 6-month deal. We never probably would have got that. That was a huge 6 months when they were able to get Jonah in here, or Bronson Reed now.
And you saw how much of an impact Jonah made within those 6 months.
Yeah, it was great, man. So like some of those are still going to stay around. I hope. I'm a guy that I want to see the talent get paid. So for me, it's like I'm just like I don't know how we're doing this stuff, and whatever you guys are getting for the TV deal, you need to be paying the talent. That needs to be the biggest thing. Like, clear off whatever you can on your balance sheet, but the talent need to be getting paid more money. Because if they're not getting paid more money, then I don't know what you're doing with this money.
And just going back and speaking of money, that's what I was saying. They got to pay. If losing and they've lost to West before, but losing the Rascals to me would be like losing 4 Ace Austins in terms of you can't lose a guy like that because he's all 4 of them should be part of the future of TNA. And
sure.
I'm not saying not overpay, but like you see the way we're going, like factions everywhere. They would walk into AEW day one, and more so than Ace would probably have a better chance of being stars. You know what I mean? Just TNA's got to lock those guys down.
Yeah.
Real quick, Gerard. I know you also mentioned about creative overhaul. I know you pointed out the DPW. Of course, folks who don't know, DPW, the independent promotion, is going to be going on hiatus for some bits. You pointed them out as a team that TNA should look into for fresh perspectives. And of course, we all agree here too, like fresh perspectives could be helpful. In your opinion, what is it about the DPW, that team that's kind of has your interest, that TNA should probably?
So I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I don't follow DPW, like really order the shows and that kind of stuff. But what I've seen over the last couple of years, like I follow them on social media, and they're always hyping their shows. But like one of the guys that they've managed to push that TNA just can't figure out is Jake something. Like he's their world champion. I don't know what TNA is doing with Jake. I don't think TNA knows what they're doing with Jake. He's a beast. You should be able to like figure this guy out. He should be in your title picture. I thought at one point before this whole call your shot gauntlet bullshit at Bound for Glory that they were gonna like legitimately have Frankie and Jake go after the tag team titles. To me, that would have been a cool move right there. Put these guys, like, it would have given Jake, I know they were supposed to get the tag team titles around this time last year with Hammerstone. They were supposed to get the tag titles. Hammerstone got hurt. It ended up fucking up their plans. Then Jake got hurt. But yeah, man, like it seems like he's like, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's still under contract until like April or June or something of next year. But like, it wouldn't shock me to see Jake just bounce out of here because they've had like 3 years to figure out what to do with him and they just can't get it. But not only that, when Speedball Mike Bailey was here, him and Jake were the tag team champions. That was a great combination right there. I'm pretty sure Danny Luna, I don't know if she was actually their women's champion, but she was about to be fighting for the title with Queen Aminata recently.
Center and Sight also. They worked there.
Right. So, and for anybody who doesn't realize what we're talking about, it's Deadlock Pro out of, I believe, South Carolina or North Carolina, one of them. But yeah, I'm a big fan of those guys that book in creatively. And you know what? I was vocal on Twitter. I've been vocal on Twitter the last couple of days because I've had to get, vent a lot of the stuff out. But I think one of the people that also books a lot of these same TNA talent really well is Sammy Callahan. Like, he uses a lot of these same guys in Pro Wrestling Revolver, and he seems to book them way better than TNA does in most cases. Like, I think Myron Reed is like their world champion, and then he's got like Killer Kelly over there. He's had Macklin over there as one of their champions. He's had some of the Rascals, the other Rascals over there. He had PCO over there. He's had a whole bunch of TNA talent over there that just they get booked, and you're just like you see this and you're like, and I've been saying it for years. Give this guy a chance to book the show. Give this guy, let him sit in on the creative meetings and actually take his ideas and maybe use some of them.
All right, and he too is familiar with everyone. Like,
right,
I know.
2026.
Like, yeah.
It needs. The problem is it needs an overhaul, and it's not going to. And we're just going to be sitting here bitching about this 3, 6, 9 a year from now, saying that they need to change, make this change, and do this and do that, and they're just not going to do it. They think what they're putting out is good. The same way that what they didn't consider the 4 weeks after Bound for Glory as like going dark or taking a hiatus because they were still putting out new digital content. There's a huge disconnect between what a lot of what they're doing, not all of it, but a lot of what they're doing, and the fans. And the other part that I didn't like about that 4-week hiatus is that they did not communicate any of it with anybody. They never said, "Oh, hey, here's what we're doing for the next 4 weeks." It was like you waited until a couple days before the show was supposed to come on, and I was like, "What are we doing this week? What are we doing this week?" The Open Fight Night concept would be great. I wish they would bring that back, but I want to see it on a live episode. I don't want to see all these matches from like 3 or 4 months ago that they're just scrambling together to put a TV show together because they have nothing else to do.
Yeah, that was like that Open Fight Night was basically like a VHS that like WWF would put out back in the day, like under the concept.
They had an old match between Santana and Cedric Alexander. Santana wasn't even the champion, so they had to find a way to be like, "Oh, he left the title backstage." I'm like, this is dumb. What are we doing?
And yeah, going back to creative, they have to be pretty uncreative not to be able to get something out of Jake something. Because I mean, like, look at him, you know what I mean? And like his promos aren't that bad, and also I think it's a trend because I would mention them like Sinner and Saint, like we talked about in the group chat. Like I've seen a lot of like a little bit of them in Prestige, and they're like booked much better. Like they were for a while, they were with Allen Angels, and I don't know what it was, but like then they come to TNA, it's like they've done nothing with them. And I even remarked last night, for some reason, they're the only team to come out and try to help Santana, and you have them get punked. It's like, that's on the long list of things that they fucked up with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Sinner and Saint is definitely one that I have advocated for as well, because the same thing, like when they first came to TNA, like it seemed like, oh, they're really getting behind these guys. They're one of the teams that's actually like signed, that they hyped their signing and they announced that they had signed them last year, and then like you put him with Josh Alexander for the Northern Armory. Cool. It seemed like Josh was actually like they were actually still going after the tag titles and in the tag title and the tag team scene while they were with Josh. You have Eric Young take it over, and it's just like he's, you know, I know there was a split with them and Eric Young, but then like since the split, they haven't even really done anything. Let's do something with these guys because they're really good.
I agree. With Josh, it felt like all three of them are kind of like the same. Like they're all business, you know, wrestling and whatnot. Like I feel like if Josh had stuck around, like he would instantly kind of elevate them onto tag title contention.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, here.
I'm sorry, real quick. With Eric Young, it was hard because like Eric, you know, he's gonna. No offense, I don't think it's on purpose. He kind of takes the attention away from the two because he's that entertaining of a guy. So.
Yeah, and like when they split him up, I thought you could have done a little bit longer of a program when they split him up and kind of like had Eric elevate them instead of just like, oh, they turn on Eric and then it's done, and now they're both going their separate ways to do their own thing. Eric is continuing this cleanse storyline, and these guys are just kind of floundering out there. And that's not a knock on Eric because, again, it's a knock on creative because you could have had a little bit more of a story with these guys when they actually did turn. They just didn't do anything with it. One of the things that I was like vocal about going into Bound for Glory was, you know, this match with the Hardys and Team 3D. That's a huge nostalgia match for me and everybody else, and that's what sold a lot of the tickets. So a lot of people came there to see. But in my opinion, it didn't need the tag team titles attached to it. TNA is actually in a spot now where they have like I would say 6 or 7 legitimate tag teams that you could have had fight for those tag team titles. You got Sinner and Saint, you got the Great Hands, you could have had Eddie and Myers. I know they did their hardcore war or whatever, so like that wasn't in the plans, but like you had the Nemeth brothers, you got a bunch of these different teams. You could have had the Rascals in there instead of just being part of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet. Like, it was kind of ridiculous. Like, you have legitimate teams now, and you're just like, a lot of it's just being squandered. I don't.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to the booking and the creative. They haven't had this many legitimate teams in quite a while. Now you've got them, and you're just sitting here with your thumb up your ass. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know there were days when it was pretty much the Good Brothers and whoever they could piece together. You know what I mean? And
right.
Now they
it was like a random talent here and a random talent there. Hey, you guys aren't doing anything. You guys just get together and go have a match with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It seems like for like the Hardys, it seems like they're starting to like run out of, I guess hopefully not run out of ideas to do with Matt and Jeff, because like they're right now they're like they've won the title since July, and they haven't really done much outside the Team 3D feud. I mean, and you're kind of wondering, okay, like, is this going to be the remainder of their run? Win tag titles, put one team over, and that's it, and da. And of course, it's also both too, because like they are drawn figures. So
my thing with Matt and Jeff is that, and like to be honest with you, if they're another team, like it seems like I'm not confirming or reporting anything. It seems like they're going to be sticking around for a while. Okay, I don't want to jinx that, but that's the impression that I'm getting, is that those guys are going to be sticking around for a while. They're a team that has such a legacy that they don't need the tag titles to go out there and be a draw and get a pop and still have a good wrestling match, right?
Right.
But when they drop the titles to some team, that's really going to elevate that team. So now you got to start looking at, well, who can or who should that be? I think it should be, maybe not should be, but they should be in the mix. I think that's where you put Sinner and Saint in the mix. I think that's where you put the Rascals. You have the Rascals in the mix. Make it a team that, like, I don't want to see the Nemeth brothers. I don't want to see, like, Eddie and Brian Myers. No offense to any of them. I want to see somebody that you can make from that tag team title victory. And the Hardys know exactly how to. They did it with Leon Slater. They took Slater under their wing. He's just up here flying solo right now, doing a great job.
Right, like you want the team.
Jeff Hardy's actually somebody. If they're signed and they got them for at least another year, maybe more. I don't know. This may be a controversial take. I would strap the world title on Jeff Hardy because he's a bigger star than pretty much anybody you've got on that entire roster.
Completely agree with you.
He still has some visa issues, but you can work around that. They work around it now. Strap the world title to him.
Definitely. You can put Matt and Jeff in singles, feuds, and storylines, and like they're just gonna like, get it over.
You can have Matt be there every once in a while to just, hey, I'm at ringside with Jeff because the guy that he's fighting is gonna have somebody on his side too. So I'm just here supporting Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and honestly, no disrespect to the Hardys, but I think in the TNA standpoint, I think getting a win over like a singles Jeff Hardy is a little bit more weight than getting a win over the Hardys. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's another one. Like you talk about making stars. Like if they strapped up Jeff Hardy with the world title, whoever he drops it to, that's instant stardom.
Yeah.
That's an instant huge boost right there.
Yeah. Real quick on the knockouts. Is there anyone in particular you have your eye on that TNA should be getting behind?
Danny Luna, 100%.
I agree.
I think they're going to go with Indy Hartwell before they go with Danny Luna, but it should be Danny Luna.
And you just said it right there, and that's like going back to creative. That's their problem. That they're they are not quick enough to realize when someone gets over organically. Like as soon as Danny Luna like took out all those security guards that night and just, you know what I mean, went crazy. Like right then she should have been champion. You know what I mean? I know that
so I'll say this. It's I knocked the creative and I knocked the booking a lot. I will say that there's some instances where they're kind of in a bind because it's like we want to push this person, but like because we're working with WWE and NXT, like a lot of their crowd has shifted to where it's fans of NXT and WWE that are coming, and it's not like legitimate just TNA fans. So they're gonna get behind noticeable names that used to be in NXT in some of these situations. So like I think that's why they're gonna get behind Indy before they get behind Danny. I think they will get behind Danny eventually, but I think when it happens, it's gonna be it could be too late. I don't know. I hope not. But I think they're gonna get behind Indy a lot sooner than they're gonna get behind Danny, and that's a shame because they should just Danny's the like I was just talking about the Rascals and Leon Slater and Mike Santana. Danny's who should be leading the Knockouts division into 2026.
Yeah.
So like,
continue.
Danny and I think Tessa Blanchard. Tessa is like in ring wise. Tessa's probably one of the best that they have on the roster right now. I know a lot of people don't like Tessa for certain reasons. Her in ring work. Almost everybody who doesn't like her, you can't deny her in ring work. So I think they should really get behind her, and like you could have her and Danny Luna, or even her. Maybe she's the one that takes it from Indy, and then Danny Luna beats her for it down the road. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, with Tessa, like whether you want to talk, like however you want to classify her heat, it's still heat, and like you said, you can't deny her ring work. So her being someone they roll with as well is, again, whether people like her or not, they have to, you know what I mean? Because she's pretty much one of the best that they have on the roster. So, you know what I mean? Especially experience-wise. So, yeah, completely agree with you there. And I was going to, when you talked about the creative and then who are they going to push, do you think that that's like kind of like maybe one of the negatives with this partnership is that, I'm not saying WWE's, and someone kind of asked that, like controlling creative, but do they have like a big say? Like, are they, you know what I mean? Is that like with the way things are going right now, like, you know what I mean, and how they book?
So I think where they do have a say, but they don't have a say in like the general creative. They have a say when it comes to their town. Okay, so like Kalani Jordan, I think Kalani Jordan just stepped into the Ash by Elegance role because I think Ash would still be champion right now if she was still able to perform in ring. I think they just placed her in that role. But because it's Kalani Jordan and she's an NXT talent now, WWE's going to have a say in who she loses to, when she loses it, all that type of stuff that TNA lost when, unfortunately, Ash had to step away. They had a say in, I think they had a say in Trick Williams, but I also think Carlos was on board with it. So, like, it's kind of a collaboration of both. But at the end of the day, like, if it's something that, like, WWE really pushes for, NXT really pushes for, Carlos Silva's probably not really going to push back on it too much. Like, TNA doesn't have the leverage that NXT does and WWE does. Like, look at the ending of the Javon Evans and Leon Slater at Bound for Glory. It came out right after that. It was heavily swayed by NXT, the WWE creative, because they wanted a goofy finish so that we can get this match 6 weeks later where Leon Slater and Javon Evans are going for the tag team titles from Dark State. Here's the thing. I'm going to say the same thing I said about the Santana match. You could have gotten there a different way. You just weren't creative about it. Right. You didn't have to completely shit on do a non-finish on Leon Slater and Javon Evans at the biggest show of the year in front of what they said was the biggest crowd of the year. They claimed was the biggest crowd of the year, and have it end the way that it did, just to get this tag team match. You could have found a different way to get this tag team match and still let these guys go out, put on a banger. Leon keeps the title.
Yeah.
That means Javon Evans. You just find a way to get Javon Evans another match with Leon down the road, where maybe you flip the title to Evans for a little bit. I never had an issue with them flipping the title to Evans. More Javon Evans on TNA programming is a win all around. But you could have done this. You could have done this finish way better and still gotten this match at Gold Rush that we got now.
And it's funny too because WWE, they always had this problem of like feeling the need to overprotect their talent for he can't take the pin or DQ and after DQ. And with Javon Evans, he's not even on a streak. Like
because if you look at he's
going to lose to Gunther on Monday. Yeah.
Right. If you look at the way Ash won the title, she pinned. They had to do a triple threat, and it was 2 TNA talent. So Ash pinned Masha, and JC walks out clean.
And like, come on, like Javon Evans is like 21, like barely 21. I don't see how there's any way you could ruin his career by losing this early. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
I wouldn't say it's about like ruining it necessarily, but it's still about like, you still want equity. Like, there's nothing they can do. He's gonna go to the main roster. He's gonna have a match against Gunther. He's gonna tear the house down. He's gonna look really great against Gunther. If they have Gunther come in and squash this kid, then they are the ones that messed up his career trajectory. But I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna make him look really good against Gunther, and that's basically gonna be his seal of approval that, hey, you need to get this kid up here sooner rather than later. An interesting part of them flipping the title on Frankie is Frankie was talking about AJ the other day, and I didn't really think about it until he was on Busted Open on Friday talking about it. He goes, I'd love to revisit AJ Styles, and he's like, oh, we're just waiting on one person to sign off on it. I think that's either Hunter or Paul or Nick Khan on the WWE side, but that wouldn't bother me at all if they kind of put the title on Frankie to get a match with AJ. And here's the thing: is that AJ was recently talking about, and he kind of talked about it around Slammiversary 2, where I don't know if they're going to sign off on me being able to do a match. I think if they do, and I think they're going to be very selective with who it is that he steps in the ring with. I think they would sign off on Frankie. I don't know that they would sign off on many other people because they also don't want him. That's their guy. They don't want him to get injured. They're about to make a lot of money off of him on a retirement tour in 2026. Like, they want to protect that guy as best they can. So TNA might not get him at all. But if they do, I think he would, and they would be comfortable enough letting Frankie be the guy to do it. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not trying to get anybody's hopes up. But I think if it was going to happen, the chances of it are probably better now than they would be, even against like a Santana.
Yeah, I think it's still more unlikely too. Like if it was even a tag match, because that way there's no chance of him having to, even if they're going to lose, he doesn't have to take the pin, and then even if the tag match, he doesn't have to do much because, like you said, yeah, they're going to be going into his retirement tour, and that is their guy. So,
sure, they could do it like him and Leon Slater against some team.
There is that fortune, there's that fortune tie, and then they bring him in just to kind of get Kazarian's back. You know what I mean? Something like that. Right. You didn't even have to have a match, but there is history there. So,
right.
But is there anything else you want to say, Gerard, before we actually get into the matches?
Last night? Good. Go ahead.
Okay. I said what I had said about the opening match, but any final thoughts on the opening triple threat? Just Jake something winning?
Jake, I don't know why Hometown Man was in this match. Just let Jake and Mance beat the shit out of each other. I don't know what we're doing here. I'm glad Jake won, but it's like, all right, well, what do you do now with Jake? And that goes back to, I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, but it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Cool, Jake won. Now what?
Exactly. And
Okay.
how long this Hotel Man gimmick's gonna last? But that's for another conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of like their cheap pop everywhere they go. They're just going to throw hometown because it does work, but you know what I mean. How long are they going to keep doing it?
Sure.
Okay. And next, we're going to move into the first match of the actual card, which I was surprised that they opened with the Knockouts title. I would have main evented with this, but then obviously the storyline of Santana kind of waiting until the bell to get there. It made sense to me. We had Kalani Jordan, the TNA Knockouts champion, taking on met M by Elegance, and this was kind of the second part of the Elegance Gauntlet. I was really surprised by this match, not because I didn't think it was going to be good, but I was more surprised at how poised Maggie Lee already is. You know what I mean? Like they put her in this role and she's already shined, and then now that it's kind of her and Heather by themselves. Yeah, I was really impressed with them. I think honestly they need to lock her down because she's a star. But I really like this match. What do you guys think?
I thought this was a great way to showcase both Maggie and Heather. Heather had her title shot the night before, and Maggie yesterday. It also, as I mentioned on our last show, like this is a way it kind of makes sense because Ash had to vacate the title. The Elegance brand still feel like they're old, like that title is theirs. So it kind of when you kind of look at it, kind of makes sense for them getting their title shots. So yeah, it helps serve three ways. Yeah, give some little stock to both girls, and also keep building Kalani's ring. So yeah, it was decent match.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, man. Like, I really like the Elegance brand both together and individually. Like, Heather can go, Maggie can go. I'm glad they both have gotten a chance to kind of showcase what they can do over the last couple of days. And George Iceman is the personal concierge. Is
Oh, he's
this
great.
guy's like a national treasure over there, man. He's great.
Completely agree with you. Yeah, they really struck gold with that group, and I'm glad that there seemed to be still focused on them after the unfortunate with Ash, having to step away. So I'm glad that they're still in their plans going forward. Okay, next we're going to move into what I thought was kind of a surprising match. I think TNA does pretty well the celebrities when it comes to celebrities in the ring, but this was AJ Francis taking on BDE. People who watch TNA, especially lately, should be familiar with. But Gerard, I'll start with you. What do you think about this? I thought this was better than I gave it credit for going into it.
I'm not real familiar with BDE. I know he's done some stuff. Him and AJ have done some stuff together in Pro Wrestling Revolver. Again, another spot that Sammy knows how to book TNA talent better than TNA does sometimes. But he seems to be, to me, like, and I'm not trying to say he's got the star power or anything like that, but I kind of look at him as like a smaller version of like Logan Paul, where like he was originally this YouTube star, but now he seems like he's actually like investing and training and trying to get better on the wrestling side of things too. Like he's actually putting in the effort, he's putting in the hours, he's putting in the sweat equity. So like in that aspect, like it's great for this guy, and I'm glad TNA were the ones that gave him a chance to really get his first singles match on their TV. He looked good for the little bit he was on there for the Call Your Shot Gauntlet at Bound for Glory. But AJ made him look really good too because they both had some good spots in that match. But man, like AJ Francis as a heel, he's another one that I really want to see TNA like pay some money to get like the last 2 years they've locked him in on 1 year deals. Lock this guy down on a multi-year deal. I know it's going to cost you some money because he knows he's one of the guys that knows his value. He knows his worth. He knows
Right.
his worth. He knows
Yeah.
he
He
knows
has
what he can get.
connections. Yeah.
But he elevates the people that he steps into the ring with and has
Mhm.
programs with and everything. So like he's a huge asset to this company right now.
I
No,
think
he
I think he opened. I think he pressed a lot more fans last year when he got that world title shot against Nemeth. And like I remember, like leading up to it, folks were just kind of shaking their heads, like, "Why is this guy again? Why is this guy in this slot and this and that?" And of course, AJ, does what he does best, proving his doubters wrong, showcasing like, hey, like it's not him, it's WWE that kind of not letting Top Dollar show a lot of what AJ Francis can bring. and now here we are. Like he's knocking it out of the park to the point where I know I wanted First Class to win the tag titles at some point. Like I mean, him and Navarro, or him and Swam. It don't matter which combination. But like, yeah, AJ, yeah, tonight. I mean, sorry, yesterday, yeah, he got this kid over, this content creator kid, BDE over. I know they had a good I know they had a good showing and revolver match, and it's pretty cool that we kind of brought that into TNA. So
No,
Yeah, for sure.
AJ knows how to. I was just gonna say AJ knows how to be a heel. Like he knows how to get heat on a program.
like
So,
that's sorry, like that's all I mentioned. Yeah, yeah. Look what AJ did for Joe Hendry.
I wouldn't even Joe being like again. He was great with the DMC. Like Joe, Billy. I mean AJ. I mean building up to AJ even being like a world champ or like going after it again. I'm fine with it. He works great with the small guys. You know what I mean? Like he knows what he's doing in there. And like you said, Io, he's proven all his doubters wrong. Like this isn't the top dollar. They they roll with that flop dollar shit for a while, but I think we're way past that. You don't even really hear about that anymore. He's very underrated in the ring, I would say. So. Okay, next we're going to move into, I think, probably the most surprising match of the night. And I think this was the match that needed to do what it did.
Hang on. Can I chime in here real quick?
Oh, yeah.
I'm on Twitter, and they got their ongoing TV tapings right now. There's this guy, Jacob Cohen, who goes to all the Florida all the Florida shows because he's a resident of Florida. He's a big TNA fan. He's at the shows. He's been at all the shows the last 2 days. He's there tonight. I want to read you this tweet that he just put out because this is another. I'm going to say this as sarcastically as I can. This is another huge win for TNA PR this weekend. Just to let everybody know, I've been asked by TNA management to leave the show tonight. There was a belief I was filming the show. I showed them that I wasn't. They returned and asked me to leave anyway. Wasn't allowed to talk to anyone any further. So that's all from me tonight. Added bonus, I was told I will not be receiving a refund. They know who this guy is. He's at all their Florida stuff. I don't what are we doing here? Do better. They know this guy. They're throwing him out anyway, not giving him a refund. Come on.
Yeah, that's a bad look. And then again, they're not doing them. So again, this just goes into the long lines. And it's not a lot like I don't think TNA does this on purpose, but there's a reason why there's a subset of people out there who roll with and started the LOTNA thing. Like they do kind of bring shit like this on themselves sometimes. And again, there's no one but to blame but themselves. And yeah, this is definitely a bad PR move. I agree with. Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah, this is kind of very wild situation. Yeah, I agree with Gerard. Yeah, the Jacob dude. Yeah, he's a cool dude. Doesn't really do anything to put a bad thing on the company and stuff. So
all he does is, if you look at his, he doesn't even spoil the shows. He just he'll take some pictures of the matches. He'll say it's this person versus this person versus this person.
Right.
Yeah, and he does
this to all the shows that anytime they're in Florida, AEW, Ring of Honor, even SmackDown, I would say, or Raw, or whenever, any in NXT at some point. But yeah, this is just a kind of crazy situation, right?
Yeah, and this is just happening. Like Gerard, like I've noticed my phone a few times, and this is just happening as Gerard's talking about, so. Yeah, very crazy. Okay, like I was saying, I'm talking about Indy Hartwell versus Stan Luna, no disqualification match. I was looking for Indy too. I thought this was her best chance to shine because given the situation, no disqualification match, and I thought Indy looked really good. And if they're dead set on going with her, she's going to need wins like this to convince me that she should be world champion. But I'll start with you, Io. What did you think of this?
This was 100% Indy's best match in TNA so far. Credit to Danny too, because I wasn't really keen on the chemistry at first, but I feel like this kind of really turned it up a notch for both women. I really enjoyed the spots. Yeah, some of the spots like the table and the ladders getting involved, them using the steel chairs. Like it seems like it seems like it took like the no DQ match to kind of really pick it up because that's kind of like how it all started, with the steel chairs and both women getting to some disqualified. Um I know, yeah, Indy picked up the win here, but also I would say I know like we're all behind Danny Luna too. I would say she kind of win here in some sort because hey, it took this much to kind of like put her down. Like, I mean, that kind of says a lot about her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so yeah, I mean, yeah, if Indy was if they were thinking about putting Indy back in contention, yeah, she kind of did need the win. Um, Danny, hopefully, I think hopefully this ain't the end for her right now. I mean, because they still need heels, credible heels, and she's kind of pretty much the top heel right now, besides her and Tessa. So yeah, this was in my opinion a big win for both women in this match.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I was kind of surprised that Indy was the one that got disqualified on Thursday, which obviously set up for this match. But here's the thing, man. Indy's not like she's got the NXT like brand, like you know her from NXT, so she's got like the name brand behind her. She's not that good in the ring. And I'm like that may be a controversial take. I don't think she's that good. But you put her in a gimmick match like this and they kind of can beat the shit out of each other and it masks like what she lacks. They're kind of like hiding it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like this
yeah,
match was better than I thought it was gonna be, but it is what it
right.
is.
Like she can't do no DQ matches all the time and stuff.
Right.
And the Slammiversary match kind of really put a little stinker. Like you're going up against like a well-rounded talent like Tessa Blanchard and couldn't hold your own on that. It's just you're just thinking like not so sure. Like I mean, I know credit to her, she's doing indie. She's doing indies. She's on the independent scene a lot and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
And
yeah,
they're almost making the mistake that they made with when they put in and Astra. I would say is better than Indy in terms of ring quality. They're pushing Indy too fast, and I get it. It's because like Indy, and it sucks because Indy's not that good in the ring. I agree with
yeah.
Gerard, but she like wants to be there. You know what I mean? It's hard
It's
not to
the
root for Indy. Like,
backstory. Like she was a TNA fan growing up. Yada
exactly,
yada and stuff. Yeah.
but it's not.
Right.
But again, they again if they keep, I think if there's a way to keep building her and not put the title on her. But to me, I've said it before. Indy winning the title is almost like when Christian beat Kenny for the TNA title. I know Christian it was an AW and Indy signed to TNA, but like Gerard said, Indy's like fresh off NXT. She's an NXT name, so her beating Kalani, I think, is the only person that NXT is going to be okay with. So I think it's kind of inevitable that if she's going to drop it to Kalani, especially that there are turning Kalani heel. It seems like that's where they're going, and they're every more appear. And Kalani's, I think, like Trick, is really growing into being a heel. But I think it is going to be India. So I just hope that will be better than her match before when we get to that point. She has to be.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because it's not great right now.
The only other person I could think of right now is Mara Sade because her history too with Kalani. But yeah,
Yeah.
the problem is right now they're lacking top baby faces,
The
and
prop Marsha Day can actually go though. That's the difference between her
Yes.
and Indy. So like,
yeah,
but again, I think like, and I have no issue with this. You don't need to push everybody to the world title picture at the same time. So like, they're actually doing some story with like Marsha Day and like the stuff that they're doing with the Angel Warriors, Zia Brookside and Li Ying Lee. Like, there's other stuff. They're like, you can bring push this person later or circle back and do this again later. But
And yeah, Zaya would be another. I think she's another rootable baby face. But I think the Angel Warriors they have something cooking with that. So I don't want them to break them up because again, we always talk about how we need knockouts tag teams as well. So yeah, like they need some more credible baby faces because really it's Indy and not much else. So again, they got to start building some people up. And it's not like they haven't signed anyone. They just got to kind of get them in the building. Okay, next we're going to move on to our Knockouts three-way tag team. I thought this was a pretty fun match. I think TNA does three-ways really well. It was the Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jessica McKay, versus the Angel Warriors, Lady and Di Brookside, versus, and I thought this was great. Again, I talked about I want to see good booking decisions going into this show. We get Tessa Blanchard coming out with Victoria Crawford, and obviously it looks like Tessa's not going to be able to go. And so she brings out the debuting Mila Moore, and I thought this was brilliant because if anybody who watched the TNA episode on Thursday, they did a spectacular segment video about Mila Moore. She pretty much just like it was 3 minutes, but you knew so much about this woman, and for her to pop out the next night, Tessa didn't need to wrestle. And let me tell you, this should tell you how much I'm starting to like. How much we need Tessa. I'm not the biggest fan of her. That would be a great faction. Tessa, Victoria, and Mila Moore. And there's nothing wrong with putting two inexperienced workers with Tessa. So I really like this decision. And so what do you think about this, Gerard? I'll start with you.
Yeah, so for me, Tessa should be one of the people that like she give her all the inexperienced talent, let her work with them. Because if she can help them in the ring, and she's really like one of the best that TNA has in the ring right now, she can help improve them. But like I'm not gonna spoil it, but you're gonna see a little bit more of that as far as them aligning with her. That some stuff that happened at the tapings tonight.
It took one video.
They got one. They said they got one coming next week for Jada Stone too. So that's another good one. She was just working with Tokyo Joshi Pro over in Japan not long ago. So she's and dude. Let me say this too. Mila Grace was on social media the last few weeks that like TNA's been off. A lot of people were like, "Oh, TNA needs a vacation. They need this and that." A lot of their talent has been busy working. So whoever started coming up with that narrative, that's just to try to defend the company, and they don't deserve to be defended on that aspect. But Mila Grace is one of the people that has been working her ass off. She's the OTT Women's Champion over in the UK, and then she's been down here in Florida the last like 2 weeks working with Ace Steel at his little training school. She's working, and she should be.
Yeah, she was also in Marigold, that Japanese promotion too.
Yeah, she was doing some stuff with them too. So I think she's gonna, if they, they've been kind of slowly bringing her in and Harley Hudson, but like, I think once they fully get behind them, if they fully get behind them, but they should be, it'll be nice there. And I think you're gonna kind of see that with like we may end up not being able to keep like Killer Kelly. I think her deal's up at the end of the year, like. You may see some of these knockouts transitioning out, but you've got like more that they've signed that they can really focus on. Like Li Ying Lee, they just announced a couple months ago they were re-signing her to a new contract. You got her, you got Zia Brookside, you got Mila, Jada that they just signed. You got Harley Hudson and the other Mila Grace that they just signed. Like they've got a good young core there. You still need some good veterans to work with them, but they got a good young core, and I think, maybe they bring a couple new ones in with like Lena Cross. I think when it's all said and done, Lena Cross ends up in TNA. She hasn't signed with AEW yet. I think she'll be a good one to bring in here. I'm hoping they'll bring High End in too, because I think she's gonna end up in AEW with the recent stuff that's happened over there lately, but. They should have signed her a long time ago. They were bringing her in regularly and then kind of just stopped.
I will say, I know the Knockouts division has been having some justifiable criticism the past 2 years, but I would say right now they're kind of doing well and like establishing the future. I guess you could say, like with the Elegance brand, Mila Moore. I think she's Mila Moore. I think she's what they called her, and Jada Stone. For back to Mila. I was like, wow, it took one segment Thursday and already she's got my attention. Because I know when both of them got signed, like I know Jada Stone kind of got the attention because she's more of the athletic, between the two. But now with this video package that they did on Mila Moore kind of got my interest. And I like how she was kind of being grateful. Like also, I think you tweeted this too, Gerard, that she flew herself to the TNA shows, hoping to get like an opportunity and job. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I think that she talked about that in the video package that they ran, where she's
Yeah.
like, the couple loops that they did, she was like, she like flew herself in, and they booked her for the matches. Um, so hopefully, I mean, now
Yeah.
that she's signed, they should be paying for all that stuff. But
Yeah.
that's like, to me,
That's
that goes to show
dedication.
that like you're really interested and invested in, like, this is something you really want to do with this company.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
Yeah. And
when
yeah.
Carlos kind of like laid out the blueprint of like what TNA has been made up of, like roster wise, their whole career. Like these are the people they should go. They need to go out with a lot of young up and comer own names and sprinkle in some veterans here and there to kind of round out the roster. So I'm hoping we get more signings like this. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're gonna get. And I completely agree with you. It's like. I like how Mila created, like, it's almost like this internal rivalry already because her and Jada were brought in at the same time. Jada was signed first. So we already have a ready-made feud with before them even having stepping foot in the ring together, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a match.
Yeah.
So that's good shit.
And with Tessa, I know she's great wrestler, great heel character, but I think she can also probably transition to manager more, I would guess to say, because I think she's at a point where she should be like help elevating like the younger talent, I guess, like you mentioned, Bert. Of course, same goes with Victoria Crawford. So I feel like a stable faction would do well in service. Like have Mila stick with them and probably see where they go from there in some sort. But yeah, Mila, she's getting my attention now based on that segment, and I thought she did good in the 3-way last night.
And say what you will about Tessa, like anyone can, but if she's out there helping elevate talent and things have been quiet around her as far as I've heard, so you know what I mean, this is just going to further to get her back in if that's possible with some people, get her back in good graces in people's eyes, you know what I mean? So I think they're being very smart with her, and I think it's a very smart move.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys.
Because I think her being tag champion is way more digestible than her being world champion right now. And again, her like helping Victoria Crawford be relevant, who again, I'm not saying that she's the best, but WWE never really did much with her. And so if TNA's already made her way more relevant than WWE ever did. So that's just, Oh, and real quick before we move on to the next match, so what did you? So the inspiration winning, does that kind of indicate that they are staying in your eyes?
I mean, yeah, to me that's a really good sign, because I think if they weren't, or they were even afraid that they weren't going to, that they would have flipped the titles to one of the other teams. So I mean, to me that's a really good sign that they probably have, even if it's like a 6-month deal, that they're going to be sticking around for a while, which is fine.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Hey, I just got to work, so I got to jump off. But I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's been a good time chatting with you guys.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Gerard.
thank you. Anytime, Gerard. Anytime.
All right, guys.
Remember, have a good night,
man. See ya. Thanks.
Okay. Next, we're going to move on to Order 4. Mustafa Ali, John Skyler, Jason Hotch taking on, with Tasha Steelz and Agent Zero, the President's Agent Zero, taking on Cedric Alexander with the Hardys, Matt and Jeff. I think we kind of talked about it. This was kind of our matches that we marked as like the 3 matches we had our eyes, on, like that we're going to be the 3 that we're really going to bring people to the dance. You know what I mean, the 3 really main courses. Yeah. And I really thought this was a really fun match. I really like the trio of the Hardys and yeah, and I thought it was funny. They were talking about, isn't Skyler from South Carolina? They were kind of talking about North Carolina and South Carolina all night. Matt and Tom's banter was really good in this match. But what did you think about this? I thought this was a really fun trios match.
Yeah, I said this. Anytime where Mustafa Ali is in action, like it's a must watch or a can't miss, because right now this dude is killing it. It's like you put him in any type of combination match, singles, multi-person tag, like he's gonna shine. And he's also he's also uplifting Skyler and Hodge, elevate their game too. But yeah, this trios match it was a very good. Everyone got to shine. It was nice for Cedric, standing side by side by the legends. And this kind of told the story, of course, Order 4, like they're gonna do by any means necessary to kind of get the win, and that's like what went down. Tasha got involved, Agent Zero got involved. Uh, the Hardys were preoccupied with Zero to the point where like it was basically Cedric on his own for a while, and then Mustafa took advantage of that. So yeah, this was a good way. This was a good it was a good match. And the right team won, but it also kind of set the stone like of the Gray Hands maintaining contention and possible tag title contention. Yeah. So yeah, this was a good one.
Yeah, and the the Gray Hands with Ali, not so much. I'm not comparing Ali to Edge, but the Gray Hands remind me a little bit when Edge had the Edge heads. I believe it was Cardona and Myers, like when they were first. Is that who it was?
Oh, say it again.
The Gray Hands with Ali, and I'm not comparing. I'm not so much Ali to Edge, but the Gray Hands remind me a little of the Edge heads a little bit. Was that Cardona and Myers when you know what I mean? Just the way Edge has elevated them a little bit. The Great Hands, I just think, have been so much better with Ali. You know what I mean? The whole Order 4 presentation is just money. And again, we talked with Gerard, like, I hope the Great Hands are a team that we see elevated. They should be. But yeah, I thought this was a really fun match. The Order 4 needed to get the win. The Hardys are champs. They didn't need to win. It was a trios match. So yeah, this was good. I was fine. I was fine with this. Good match.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next, we're going to move on to it's hard to say. I would say this would be tied for the match of the night, but we're moving on to I would say the superstar, the all-star 8-man tag kind of trend in wrestling. It was the System, Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, JDC, and Moose taking on the Rascals, Trey Miguel, Myron Reed, Zachary Wentz, and the returning. I think everyone kind of knew, especially with him teasing it before the show, Dezmond Xavier, to a very, he looked very happy to be out there with his boys. And I guess, this was like the first time them all four of them teaming together, you know what I mean? Like on the big stage. This was really good, man. I thought all four of those guys, like Dezmond, you watch this, Io, it's like they released him, you know what I mean? WWE, they fumbled that one, you know what I mean? And it's all four of those guys, and it's like you said, Io, they should be running TNA, you know what I mean? They looked so crisp, every one of them. This was a great fucking match.
Yeah, this was a very homecoming. It felt like a homecoming moment, seeing all four of them together, and I like that. Tom Hannafin kind of really gave us a brief story. Like this, this is what all four guys have been wanting. For them tagging together on a major show. And I'm glad too that like they kind of basically explain they had their differences obviously with in NXT and like both so like they 5 years ago they bid farewell. Wentz and Xavier went to NXT. Wentz unfortunately got released. Trey sticked around in that TNA. Myron was on the come up, So yeah, it's just kind of like a nice come together where all four of them, they are all four of them, I would say, are successful on their own individually. So this was in some way, folks, you can say like this is kind of like a dream match, like the Frascos going up against the System, like two well established factions, and it freaking delivered. Like folks are saying, like this is the match of the night, and I completely agree. You got four. I said this the prior. Like you got two teams, four of each individuals who are very great wrestlers. Like you're gonna get spectacular, and that's what we got. Everyone showcase chemistry, all around the ring. Everyone looked like a star too, including JDC, who's retiring in January. Like he was able to kind of like put on a showing. Yeah, it was this this is a great match. I would recommend everyone to watch again. And I love the finish, with the oh wait, before that, yeah, everyone was flying outside the ring. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I like to. Everybody had their moves in flying outside the ring, and Myron with the hot flame he calls, the jumping cutter outside the ring. And then
Yeah,
led to the finish. The hot fire flame is that what they call? Well, with the moonsaults, I guess.
exactly. Which always looks so crisp. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know how they hit that with like so
yeah,
flawlessly every time. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah, this match I think
yeah,
delivered completely.
yeah, yeah. And then the spiral tap. Shout out to AJ Styles there. The spiral tap with the win. Yeah. Um. Yeah. It's. I know. I know. Buddy Gerard brought it up. Like about what's next for the Rascals.
Mhm.
Some
Mhm.
members, individuals.
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
remains to be seen, but at least we could say tonight it felt like a culmination moment, like all four of them teaming together in a major show.
You gotta like, yeah. Again, TNA. I'm not gonna rehash it. TNA's gotta lock them down. They should definitely be part of the future. You just like kind of like they're so like great as a unit, and I think they get a lot of eyes on the product. Especially if they're a focal point. But yeah, this was a very good match, and I think it's tied for me for match of the night. We're gonna talk about what I would call the other match of the night right now. It was Leon Slater taking on Rich Swann, and I believe, and I love how TNA continues with the kind of the tail of the tape. I've watched a lot more older TNA lately, and I love how TNA would always do that with like kind of the facts of the match. But I believe they pointed out that this is for Rich Swann's first singles match since the last time he challenged for the X Division match. I didn't write that down, but does that sound right? Did they say something like that?
His last singles TNA match was for the X title. It was when he faced Speedball.
Okay. And yeah, I wish I would have been able to ask Gerard what he thinks about Rich Swann eventually kind of maybe getting some singles gold again. But I thought Rich Swann looked incredible out there. Like, again, I thought this is my other match of the night. I thought this was the best that Rich has looked. And this is why I was a little upset that he had kind of been here sporadically a little bit, but I hope that he's here more full time now. But I thought Rich really shined. There was a point to me, I'm like, man, if Rich won the title right now, I wouldn't be complaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Leon's had a solid run. It's like 140 days. Think about this one.
Yeah, I know it's wild saying this because Swann's been doing this for a long while, but like it feels like he's right now in his prime. Like, look at the guy; he's in a great shape,
Yes.
like tip top shape. You can see the abs. Has a new look. His confidence is way up compared to the Rich Swann we saw, a couple years back. He has a good thing going with, hanging with AJ in First Class. I agree too. Like, it feels like, hopefully, I would say, like, hopefully right now he's got it together, and we can do a lot in the future with more of him, and whether it's in the tag or singles. But yeah, as far as this match, yeah, this was you could say another dream match, and so to speak. Yeah, for Rich. I mean, for Leon Slater, because he's basically the future or the present, if you want to say, of like who can like beat one of the how do I put this one of the rising stars or a potential main stars of TNA and stuff, like, because like when you see Leon Slater on the card, you're gonna get a good show and banger. So yeah, this lived up to it. Both guys very similar in style, matchup. Can do incredible moves like nothing you've seen before, and yeah, for over 20 minutes, yeah, it was just nonstop, like hence total nonstop action. But yeah, this was this was a great win in my opinion for Leon Slater, to build another notch up in his title reign, and I love continue.
Oh, I was gonna say I like when you calling it a dream match. I think the X Division, just because of the history and like the kind of the lore around it and like the people have come through and shit. I think you put any two, like especially if you put the current X Division champ, a younger star, you put him against any X Division champion of the past. You know what I mean? I think it's a dream match just because You know what I mean? Like that division is just it's been so incredible in the 21 years or however long that they've had it. So yeah, I completely agree. This was a dream match. But sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was saying like this was yeah, this was a great win for Leon to kind of boost up his title reign. And yeah, I love the showmanship, the sportsmanship out of Rich Swann out of the match. Both hug each other. Yeah. So yeah,
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 I really like that as well.
yeah,
That's kind of like, you know what I mean? That's kind of been one of another thing of the X division, division, the sportsmanship, you know what I mean? The competition.
yeah.
So I did like that as well. Okay. Next, we're going to move on into our main event. And again, there was obviously the storyline of Santana the whole night, but we basically get the entrances of Frankie Kazarian and Nick Nemeth first. Nick Nemeth obviously is, Nick Nemeth coming out with the trophy, and it's kind of weird. I thought it's weird that he still has it. I don't know what they're doing with that element of, because Kazarian did cash it in. Was Kazarian the world champion versus Steve Maclin and Mike Santana? We get Steve Maclin. Obviously, Santana's not there in the beginning. That doesn't bother Steve Maclin. One of his best traits, which is I love how they built Steve Maclin. He isn't really he's kind of like Stone Cold in the way that he doesn't need anybody. You know what I mean? He's just going to go out there and he's going to fight every night if he has to. I really liked how this match started. You know what I mean? They made Steve Maclin look good. You know what I mean? They keep him strong every time. It's not like he went out there and got his ass kicked, even though it was 2-on-1. But what do you think about the early part of this match, Io?
Yeah. I think this kind of well put. Like they really drove into the whole where's Santana, what's his mind at, after last Thursday. Really kind of like edge into that whole edge into the whole concern, especially for Maclin, because now he had to go on 2-on-1 for at least for the most part. He held his own. He held his own for the most part. Yeah, this was kind of basically building anticipation. Like, okay, like Santana's gonna definitely come, and which he did. They showed him driving his car back, driving his vehicle. Walking into the ring, not in his particular wrestling gear and stuff. Taping his arms as soon as he head into the ring, started handling business, taking care of Nemeth and Kazarian, and of course got the spin the block finish on the champion Kazarian, which kind of let us know like, hey, like he's still I mean, hey, he's pissed off and like he wants that title back, and pinning the champ is a good sign too. And then of course after continue.
I was gonna say, it reminded me of what a little element of what I loved in wrestling back in the day when Santana pulled up, and he pulled up in a pretty sweet Mercedes, and I always like when I see the stars pull up in a nice car. I'm like, yeah, they're rich. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like thinking that my stars are rich. So, but yeah, I thought that the way that he rolled up was very good. I like the selling of the arm. You could definitely see it was hurting. But yeah, sorry, continue, Io.
I was saying this is this is a good sign, of Santana getting back and potential of wanting to get the title back, pinning Kazarian. And then after the match, you saw Nemeth walking closely up to his trophy, and then attempting to call his shots. And then of course he gets beat down. The NXT guys came in. Wonder how they got into the building, because Santino basically said like he has security covered, so they must have sneaked up to somewhere. But
it's like aces and eights. We're wondering how they got into the building, Io. You know what I mean? How they ever left?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you know what? Going back to Gerard, now if people missed it, Gerard had kind of alluded to how he thinks the EY might, and this is kind of behind this. This is the cleanse. And let me just say this. I wouldn't mind that, just because, again, I've kind of criticized who they have out there in terms of NXT wise. It's a lot of mid-level guys, you know what I mean, evolve guys. But I have no problem with that just because that's the kind of, EY, and he has said that he kind of takes away from the people he's with. I don't mind it taking away from them just because those aren't really TNA guys, you know what I mean? So I don't really have to worry about building them up. So I'm okay with that if that's where we're going, you know what I mean? Because this is interesting that they've done this 2 nights in a row. I'm wondering where we're going with this. We kind of got them teased like they weren't going to go after Kazarian. They did that whole bit. Who knows? Kazarian still could be behind this, but I'm interested where we go now. With again, I don't know. We have tapings right now. Will they be on the next show? Again, I haven't seen any spoilers, but that's got me interested because TNA's got to get some got to get some momentum back with this. You know what I mean? They've got punked out twice.
Yeah.
Because you saw, and what was interesting, you saw Sinner and Saint and then the Hardys go out there. So I'm wondering if they're going to do something with that because maybe the Sinner and Saint kind of won the Hardys' respect. Seems like Sinner and Saint are going babyface. Where was the rest of the TNA locker room? I believe.
The Hardys, at least the Hardys came by.
Didn't someone in our group chat say usually people shower after their match and leave the building? You know what I mean? So, yeah. So you know what I mean?
I said that. Well, if you just had a match, like people, some might stick around, some or just hit the shower and just head to their hotel.
So it seems like they're actually starting to keep. It seems like the invasion thing is something real going forward that they're going to keep doing. So, and I like that.
And I like how the NXT GM Ava playing all innocent, like I had nothing to do with this. Sean saying like we're looking into it. Well, someone had a hand in this, whether it's from TNA or NXT. And I like how we thought at first we were wondering why ain't they going after Kazarian? Like what's going on? And then they eventually did. So yeah.
And did you like how during the brawl IO you see Santino getting Stack's face and Tom's that's his son, that's his future son-in-law. Yeah. You know what I mean? So hopefully we're gonna see
who's guy's
Ariane.
Your son, it's gonna be interesting. Where does Ariana Grace stand in there? Because
exactly. So
her dad just got jumped. Her dad just got jumped. Her son-in-law, her fiance is involved, and he didn't do anything about that. So, yeah, should be some segments coming.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to where they could go with this, and I'm just looking at the potential. The last time we had lockdown was in 2016. It was February. Maybe with the help of TNA, we could get. With NXT, we can get a cage and some sort of lockdown match, TNA versus NXT. I think that would be very, very good. But I'm hoping that they, and again, because anytime I see an invasion, I always think to my head, man, it's a chance to do a better invasion, better than the WWE WCW one. And I think so far they're doing pretty well despite the talent level NXT's shown. But it's not like we should have expected any of the heavy hitters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe we could get some of them, but I don't know if we will. But I still think that the show ended with a lot of intrigue.
Yeah, at least, I would say that too. I'll say this, like in the past PLEs or whatever you want to call them, there are times where like after the match in the main event, you always wonder, okay, is something gonna happen next? Like is something gonna go down? But nope, just victory and then off the air, But at least they're doing between Thursday, Friday. Between Thursday and Friday, they're at least giving us something that at least makes you want to tune in what's happening next. And I think that's what kind of like what they kind of gave us. Okay, how's this going to affect Thursday show, and could we see a falling out too on NXT show? Because basically NXT guys kind of invaded uninvited. So is TNA gonna respond? Knowing the roster, I'm sure they are gonna figure out a way to get payback at least, or we'll see. So yeah, it just kind of keeps you guys glued for like between the two shows.
And that's the thing that because with TNA being, especially in the next two tapings, leading up to Final Resolution December 5th, we're still in NXT's house, so you would think that there's going to be a lot to do with, obviously, you know, I mean, NXT is probably going to make their presence known. You know, I mean, that is their house, so I'm looking forward to that. And that's what I was going to kind of ask you. Obviously, we got 2 tapings, I believe, right, that they're doing, because we have two shows if I'm looking at the calendar between us and Final Resolution. We've got the 20th and 27th if they do a show on Thanksgiving, and then possibly one on the 4th. So I'm wondering what we're going to get. Obviously, it's a little bit longer to build potential matches for that show. But what do you want to see, and what are you expecting to see? Obviously, what next week's show? What do you expect to see?
Well, I expect Santana's reaction, because I think that's one thing we're all kind of waiting on, like his reaction out of the last 2 days. A little more info on the NXT. Well, I mean, then again, they may appear, it's whatever. Yeah, the Santana stuff. What's next? I think that's kind of it. Yeah, mostly the Santana response. Yeah, the NXT guys, like, basically, Hannafin and Ray Wall basically saying, are they going to show up again? This and that, and yeah, because right now, yeah, they're building up to Final Resolution next month. So I see them kind of stacking up the cards so quickly because it's in only a few weeks, and also it's Thanksgiving in 2 weeks. So from my understanding, I think they're not taking the week off for Thanksgiving, from my understanding. So at least we got that to look forward to.
That's what I'm saying. Are they going to film? Is there going to be enough to fit? Because there's technically 3 shows, and I would hope that they would have. Now that they're not going to take a break for Thanksgiving, I know that they're filming for. Are they filming 2 days or 1 day?
On Thursday, they did some tapings on Thursday before they went live, so they have enough for.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't. So basically, we have 3 weeks, 3 Impact episodes till Final Resolution. So they have enough.
It'll be interesting to see what they filmed for the Go Home show. I'm not saying Thanksgiving will be a throwaway show, but if they're not taking off, I would assume that they probably filmed some sort of turkey match, which is fine. But yeah, so 3 weeks, obviously, to get a build to a show, which I think a lot of the matches, if you pay attention, are probably. I think we will. Gerard said it. We've said it. I think we will get Nemeth, Kazarian, and Santana in a triple threat match, just so Nemeth gets his championship match. Santana gets his rematch. I think that's an easy one. In terms of everything else, like we always say, it's going to fall into place. You know what I mean? I think they have a good amount of time to build a good feud for Leon. I'm definitely interested to see where they go with this. I hope if they don't keep Xavier, Dezmond versus Leon should be a match that should be booked for Final Resolution. I would roll with that. That would be a good one. But with that being said, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, this was a great review. Shout out to our buddy Gerard joining in. I think we jot down some very important topics and questions. The next few weeks should be very interesting. As far as the direction of TNA and the champion, and also the title contentions. So honestly, I mean, I hope they just keep giving us storylines. I mean, I know people have their opinions on the booking, but I just want storylines that just gonna make you want to tune in more, basically. Like, so if the longer we keep that, exactly, yeah. Like the wrestling is one thing, but like storytelling is the key. That's the main thing, because when folks tune into Raw and SmackDown, mostly they want to see the storyline, like what this person or that person is gonna say next. So like if we can continue. So yeah, if we kind of get that feeling towards TNA, like I think that's a good thing. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like I complain all the time about the over storyline in wrestling and the lack of actual wrestling, even good wrestling in WWE. The wrestling's already there with TNA. Like now I'm not saying I'm the last one to say stories, but you need a little bit, you know what I mean? Just not too much. And yeah, TNA needs some stories to go along with the great wrestling that they're already giving you. So completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And you know what? And obviously, the looming of the potential, we still don't know the date of Genesis, which should be interesting because that could coincide with, maybe there's something else going on that they have to book around, or we still have the looming of the TV deal, which I think when that is announced, a lot of the contracts are going to fall into place.
Yeah,
You know
just
what I
just
mean?
just to put that out there, guys. Like, it's I have a very good feeling like we're near the point where it's gonna get announced. Like, I know there's some always be having their doubts because TNA or Carlos not really saying nothing, but that's just kind of how networks or medias are. Like, they don't announce when we expect them; they just announce when it's a good time. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we're gonna get that before the year ends.
Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely. Yeah. I think you're right on that.
definitely still an upswing of things. So by 2026, I think we're entering like a new chapter of TNA for the good.
Yeah, who knows? They might not do a Christmas episode. They might just announce on Christmas, which I believe is a Thursday, that's the present to all of us that they signed a new TV deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That could be either get the end of the year on a happy note, which
yeah,
it's been a very good year. I know there's been some bumps recently, but yeah, I think we're building towards something special.
yeah.
Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for joining us. I especially want to thank obviously Io, Gerard as well. That was very nice of him to step by. He does great work for Body Slam along with everybody else over there. They do great work. But I want to thank you guys all for joining. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video whenever we go live and whenever the many wonderful people at Body Slam go live. And with that being said, have a good night, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Ciao.